Hi, this is Rick Dearr, and as you can see there, I'm a business consultant. And welcome to the 5 business building blocks. I want to talk to you a little bit about what I'm doing here. I'm changing the global economy one entrepreneur at a time. And I think it's important to talk a little bit about why I'm doing this, and I think I'll get into some of that as you'll see a little bit about my history. But one of the things that I wanted to talk about is when I started. Oh, no, this is like not when I started. That's actually my wife and I. So it's not the Old West, but sometimes it's felt that way. So um, go back way, way back. When I was 18, I actually worked on the Autopia at Disneyland. So we won't go that far back to get into too many details, but we still like to visit Disneyland. This is the younger 2 kids are still at home, and my wife and myself, one of our last visits, yeah, Splash Mountain included. And when I was first married, I got involved with Apple II computers and built the first Apple II joystick back in the 70s, and also an internal fan for the Apple II, and a little hardware product that changed some stuff on the floppy drives back then instead of hard drives for storing your data. Won't get into detail there, but obviously that was fun. That was my business partner. He actually helped me build the slide set that was in our backyard, swing set, and talk about Jim a little later then too. Worked with a company called CMS Enhancements. He took my division of that company from 30 million in sales to 60 million in sales in 18-month window. That 6-month revenue little arrow there, it's probably a little hard to read, but that is over 200 million in a year. So it was a large corporation. I played the corporate game, and my division did really well, and of course I was paid really well for that. But my wife's mom got ill, and we ended up moving back to Utah. I commuted for about a year until that just turned into more than it should. Did Gridlock, which was a game. I've done about 25 titles in games. Solitaire for a little company called Wyvern Studios. First experience with the internet there was helping them take a game that they'd been giving away with what they called freeware at the time, so you could play it, and people just weren't really buying. They were playing, and a few would pay, but the same amount they'd collected in a year by changing a few things and making people register and changing the way they could play. They could still play enough to get to know if they liked the game or not, but once they knew they were liking it, they could pay for it then, and we did more in a month than they'd done in 3 years. So that was a good experience, but really wasn't too focused on the marketing side of it there. Just was doing more of the operations for them. Went to work at Acclaim Studios as a producer, and had a couple projects that I worked on. WWF wrestling title, and the ECW, which took over after that. We photographed all the wrestlers to put them in the game because I had a background in photography. I actually owned a school picture company along the way, and we launched that, and you can see there it was the #2 selling video game for the PlayStation that year, and also was #6 for the Nintendo 64. And that gave me a good background in project management and understanding, how to get things done. And with a game, it had to be completely done. Back in those days, you mentioned the Nintendo 64. If you did not have it complete, you couldn't ship it. And we had to ship on time because there was multi-million-dollar budgets in marketing geared towards certain dates. And in that company, I actually was the only one in the studio I worked in that got my 2 projects out on time. Everybody was used to working 2 or 3 month long hard crunch times where they worked 12 and 14-hour days, and I wasn't up for that, so I just made sure we did it right the first time. Anyway, we'll get into a little bit of that later. We talk about project management. When Acclaim folded my studio, I of course didn't have a job, and took my money and started to create my own studio. Worked with a little engine called the LithTech engine, And people were supposed to be helping me raise money. They didn't do such a good job of that. A couple of programmers put money in and then didn't really work on the project, which I couldn't understand. But eventually that project went away, and I actually went to work with the people selling the engine. It was the engine that created No One Lives Forever 1 and 2, and was a really good solid product, sold for 250,000 or more. And that was a great project to work on, and really fun talking to lots of other people in the game business still, and people I knew and new people I got to meet. And then there was a change in the whole world, actually. 9/11 hit, and that job went away. And in my age at the time, it became difficult to find work. This is, yeah, same day results. What changed and triggered for me to get back into life, I guess, was I ended up looking into the car business. I thought, okay, there's one I can just walk in and be a salesperson. And the fact that I had to pee in a cup to get a job just kind of grated on my nerves, I guess you could say. Being an entrepreneur at heart and coming up with different projects and doing different things on my own, just going back into that corporate environment was something that just didn't set right with me. So from there, I actually went down and saw this young man, Robert Allen, speaking, and was involved in real estate. Took a few different courses on that. Bought a gas station at one point, and that gas station worked out for a while, and then the owners that really were supposed to be retiring didn't really want to retire. I won't go into all the detail on this one, but I gave the gas station back to them. We had purchased a house about 6 miles from the gas station. It's about an acre and something, so I had a lot of garden space for my wife, and you can see the helicopter pad in the back there. No, I'm kidding. That's basketball court. But really enjoyed that place, and started working on the internet from that particular home, and really enjoyed that. I got a little spoiled because the money was a little too easy in that project. I started with what we call scraper sites. Got to meet a few good people, though, going to different live events. There's Onyx Singal there, Dr. Mike, and Eric Christensen, and got to meet Russell Brunson, went to a couple of his events. There's Yuan Chia, who actually came to one of Russell's events, one of the rare times. He's a affiliate marketer that's done over 7 figures in a year. And there's Robbie LeBlanc. He was one of the first people that we got involved with. My business partner over on the far side there, Kevin Davis, and I got to know Robbie really well, and he worked with quite a few of the people, lives in Vegas, and he's a flamenco guitar player, or a classical guitar player, and would do lots of things in different events. We met him actually at a Mark Victor Hansen and Robert Allen event, 2004, 2005, something like that. There's Rich Sheffrin. A lot of these people, just got to meet them at a live event 1 or 2 times, and got to know them. I was talking about the scraper sites. My first experience was sites that we would build, and we helped some other people build them. And this is over 2 million views on some of those sites, earning over $79,000 in a 2-month window. And yes, that's back in 2005, so I'm not trying to claim that as proof I'm doing anything like that today. Those were sites that came and went in terms of how Google slaps things. They did slap that particular type of project, but in the meantime, we'd help these guys to get up to $1 million run rate. The bottom daily rate there is over 2,900 in a month, or in a day rather. I always do that. So those sites did do things, but they actually, like I say, they spoiled me from doing a real internet business, because I was able to take one of these projects and start making money quickly, and so I didn't learn list building and some of the things I should have. That's one of the sites. That is an ugly site. Some of them had headers and banners at the top. Others would just look like this and had AdSense on them and extra pages and news reports and things, and so they were places that people came, and if they didn't see something that was interesting to read, they'd click on an AdSense ad and we'd get paid. And that was our single revenue stream from those. But like I say, it worked so well, we didn't do much of anything else with it. So I learned that lesson. And actually, another live event, I used some of my photography background, and Robbie was helping Carl. And Carl Galletti had this Internet Marketing Super Conference every year for a long time. I think this was number 10 I went to. And I told him I would come down and bring my photography equipment because a lot of people wanted to have themselves taken in different poses against a green screen. And it was fairly expensive if you go into a studio to do it. So I told him I'd come up with a fair deal for people, and we did that, and would split the revenue, and I'd take some pictures for him. Carl was actually too busy at the event to get his own pictures taken, so I told him to use the money we earned to go to a studio and do his. But while I was there, I'd run into Mike Filsame before, and I got to run into Mike Filsame again, and actually started thinking about what I could do from my corporate background in terms of project management and being VP of operations in different places and things to see if I could help Mike with some of the things that he was working on right then. And so he had me come out to New York, and of course the next thing we knew, we were looking at how I could be there full time and kind of commute between Utah and New York. And so that was really enjoyable. I was able to help him with some things and projects that he was doing. We had a couple $1 million plus launches while I was there. So obviously I got to see the inside workings of internet marketing that of course I'd been learning over the last few years and doing some projects. But this was of course a real great experience for learning how to really monetize your sites and do a lot of things with them. That was the cat in my office. They adopted a little cat that somebody found, and it really liked my case for some reason. So when I unpack my computer and go off to do something, maybe it was warm because the computer was on standby or something, and I'd come back to the office and there the cat would be in my desk. So that was kind of fun. Really a great experience working there. Internet marketing allowed me to have time to go to my daughter's wedding, so that was also fun. She lived in Philadelphia, and so commuting between Utah and New York, we took a short trip there and took the family out and got to go give her away. And then the world changed in November of 2008, and Mike and I were talking about how those changes would affect things, and of course I became one of the highly paid executives that no longer had full-time employment. Did some consulting there with Mike in December and kind of kept myself on track for what I wanted to do for the family. So we went ahead and went to Disneyland. And then there was a cruise in January that Mike had already paid for as part of my compensation. So we went on the cruise. And there's the whole group. There was probably 300 plus people. I think this next year there's going to be more than 400. And that was really fun to get to meet people and see them in a more relaxed environment. Even you see someone at an event and you get a few minutes with them, but not a lot. Here we could sit and have lunch and talk about things more in depth and just everyday life and just having fun. It was a great experience. Happened to meet that young fellow again, Robert Allen, and Robert happened to be looking for some help with a new project he wanted to do with a book on network marketing. And since I had free time, we had a chance to have dinner together and talk over lunch one day, and turns out that I could help him do some of those things. So we started talking about it, and we were going to form a company called R&R Marketing to market that book. And then he had another book that was going to come out right at the same time. So actually the planned book we didn't do. We actually did the new book that he's working on. And he was working on that. There's some of the books that Robert's done. He's a best-selling author and really a great guy to get to know, and has a lot of great experiences in life that I've learned a lot from. And the Cash in a Flash book was one he'd written with Mark Victor Hansen. So Robert Allen and Mark Victor Hansen had this book, but I wanted to help him monetize it more. Usually on a book tour, you go out and you spend money to market your book. And so you go in the hole pretty deep, and then they sell them enough books, and you get some of that back. So I wanted to come up with a way to monetize that. We had an event that we put on. This is the actual book site where people could come and get some free gifts as they're reading the book. It sends them back to the site. And so I was actually able to teach them a few things at the event we held. We had about 40 people or so there. And that was a great group. Everybody got together and learned from each other. And we even had some people that came up from inside the group that got to talk about some of their experiences and things they did. So really was a great group of people to know. And we turned that 3-day event into a product that sold on the website then. And so we were able to kind of bring people into that experience and get them purchasing and having a funnel that we could monetize then to help market the book as well as turn into a nice little company. These are some of the folks that worked with us on it. Simon Leung there, Lee and Robin Collins, James was there, Andy was there, one of Simon's friends there that worked at Google too. And got to meet a few cool people. Ray Edwards helped out with a copy, and just got to really go again on another cruise. That was fun. Got to meet some new people there and get some new business happening from that as well. And then on that cruise, my good friend Jim, who you saw earlier helping me build the swing set, passed away. And that kind of changed some of my perspective on what I was doing and how I was doing it. Because I'd helped Jim with those scraper sites. He'd earned some money there, but then of course that went away. And so he had some things that I think we could have done to help a lot of people learn from him. He was a beekeeper. I learned some of that from him, and I'm carrying that on today with his bees. I'll talk about that maybe a little later. This is the website we had going with Cash and Flash, and we actually closed that in July of 2010. Robert had done some events at his home. I got to go to his home and help out with those events as well. One time, during the course of things, went to Marshall Silver's home. There's a lot of the guys, Frank Kern and Caleb Jennings, Tom Bell, Tom Beal from Mike's office was there. Actually, Tom invited me, so I really appreciated that. John Carlton, the copywriter, is there. David Gonzalez, I see. Omar is there. Jason Moffat. So a lot of great guys. There's Perry Belcher is there too. And Joe Therien downstairs there. Downstairs, he's kneeling next to Ryan Dice. And so I got to mingle with these guys and learn a lot of good stuff there too, and got to keep in touch with them. And there's that Frank Kern guy at his birthday. And John Reese, I still blame him for buying the PSP and showing it to me at one of Armin Morin's events, and kind of justified having one because it could go on the internet. I won't go into that. There's a fellow, and I'm going to space his name right now. I apologize. He's actually got a real estate TV show coming up, so I'll put his name somewhere on the site. And there's Austin Welsh. That's Bill Welsh's son, or Bill Walsh, excuse me. I said Welsh instead of Walsh. Austin Walsh. There's Mike. That's actually the point in time when he mentions my name on winning a contest. I didn't win the contest, rather. There was the top 10, and I was number 11, but I was close to the top 10, and the number 12 was far enough away they decided to include me. So I appreciated that. And then another event in Vegas. Actually, this was an affiliate.com event. And Joe Jablonski and I were talking about doing mailing together for a joint venture to help them with a project they were selling. And he asked me if I was coming, and I didn't know about it, so I definitely decided to go down there. And that's one of the things, you get to know people, and they'll invite you to things that you can learn from and also see again. So I got to see Mike again there, and Rich Sheffrin got to see again. We had a good talk about a few things there with Leslie Rhodes from the Stompernet group. And there's Coach Deb. Got to work with her back on the Cash and Flash project, and then got to see her again. And there's Scott Marlowe. And Scott and I met on the very first cruise, the same cruise I met Robert on. And we ran into each other on the second cruise, and then didn't see each other again the whole cruise. It was amazing because there were so many people on that ship. We're back to a smaller ship now, which would be a little nicer to be able to find your friends again. And Scott and I are going to do some stuff together a little bit, learning more about the media buy in the current age. I used to do media buying with the CMS enhancements where we'd spend $200,000 on a magazine ad, and of course you wouldn't see your ad for 3 months, so you really had to track things and do it right. Here, of course, we're doing things much more quickly. You're able to see your ad right away after you've gotten it approved. So it was fun to see Scott again, and get to see things I could help him with. And there is actually another Scott Rewick. Scott teaches the media buying and has taken companies into the hundreds of millions of dollars, and so he's a great guy to know, and also a fellow beekeeper. I'm glad I got to meet Scott. And yep, there's the bees that actually this is Jim working on the bees in our backyard. So let's talk now about the 5 business building blocks. And the reason I'm doing them in terms of helping businesses globally, there's kiva.org, and no, that's not an affiliate link, so you can go there, and I don't make a dime. Actually, what I do is I loan dimes to these guys. And what's really good about Kiva is it is an international organization, so they help people all over the globe. And what it does is they make loans to these small businesses, and then the small businesses repay the loans. So even though you're donating this money or putting this money in, you can take it back out if you want. But what I do is, of course, when it comes back, I loan it out to other people. And you can start, with as little as the $25 there. This is when I did a search like in the Philippines, and there's, a list of different people in the Philippines that, this person only needs $175. So you can loan 25 or 50 or, whatever number finishes the loan, or you can just loan a piece of it, whatever works for you. So that's really kind of a fun way to do giving back to the community and globally giving back. There's some of them that have repaid the loans. Some are 100% paid back, and some are partially paid back, and so it's just a great organization. So I want to tell you, that's one of the reasons I'm doing what I'm doing on this special right now, is that I'm trying to come up with some ways to get more input into them and to really help a greater number of people, including you. If you're listening to this, then you're in the right place, and maybe I can help you. So here's the 5 building blocks. Now, if you're following along and writing these down, you can use this information I'm giving you and start today to improve your business. And in these 5 areas, there are different things you can do in each of these areas to really start to structure your business correctly and to make it a real business. And I'll tell you, if you're in the internet marketing space and you've seen the get rich quick stuff, it doesn't work. I'll just tell you, it just doesn't work that way. And you might find something that works for a week or 2 or 6 weeks or whatever, but that usually isn't a business. It's just an exploitation of a system, and then somebody starts selling it, and they make more money selling you that system than you make working the system. So that's one of the things that I think people kind of forget, and it's very easy. Like I say, I fell into that trap when I first got started because it did work, but not long term. So I didn't have a business. I had to re-evaluate everything and get into the business realm. So let's talk about leadership first. You've got to have a master plan, and I'm not talking about like a business plan, because a business plan we'll talk about at the end. You need that if you're going to go raise some money, or if you're going to go look to someone to be involved with you, and you need to explain how it's going to work and that. Or if you're starting a new project, then you want to look at how the finances are going to work, then a business plan might be appropriate. But the master plan is more laying out everything that's going to happen in your business and how it works. So an operations manual is what I'm talking about here. And that operations manual doesn't have to be done from day one. It can be built over time based on what you're currently working on, and then when you look at what you want to grow into, you can define those areas and flesh out that operations manual. A mission statement is essential. You want to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. And the company objectives, and these are hard objectives in terms of membership or dollar amounts, not just make money. So you want to be specific there. And then the company story. You've heard my story, part of what I've done, and I'll have a longer version probably if somebody wants to hear that, but I tried to keep that as short as I could. I've done too many things in my life, I guess, to make it all on one presentation. So company story is something that you want to help people understand how you got to where you are. Like, with me, the corporate environment was really big and really great to work from. And the video game business was fun. Owning my own school picture company was fun. There's lots of things I've done that I really enjoy. And they've all led me to be able to do these kinds of things to help other people, build their business. Administration, another area, an employee commitment pledge. When you're hiring employees, one of the things that worked with me in the video game business was because we had such a short timeline and we had a budget to work in, and I couldn't hire 15 people to do the job that I only had 3 people for. So we had to commit to certain things to get them done and get them done on time, and we had to work together to make that happen. And when everybody's committed and they see the bigger picture and they understand your mission statement, then things come together and people do really work more towards that goal than just showing up for a paycheck. And that's what you want to have with employees. So the commitment is just a two-way street of what you're going to do for them and what they're going to do for you. You want to have your weekly leadership meetings so that people understand that there is a measure, there is something that's happening every week that is guiding forward, but also that's checking up on what was supposed to be done during the week. So you're not interrupted every day with questions. You're saving them for the weekly leadership meeting. And if they're so urgent that they need to be interruptions, then you're not doing those meetings correctly. And you need to work on that and get those meetings to be able to handle things. The same with the monthly business development meeting. So you're growing the business each month and not merely just working from day to day to get by. And time management of functions is the functions are the things that are done on a daily basis. So you carefully manage how you bring this into your organization, because you don't want to feel oppressive of, you're watching me every 15 minutes. It's you want the person that's doing the job to understand what the job should be like and how it should be done and how long it really does take, so that it's done efficiently and effectively, so that there is more free time to do things, the other things that need to be done. And time management of communications. This is one that in this day and age it has been tough for everyone, and I've gone both ways with the traps that you fall into with instant messaging, because those become interruptions, and it takes 15 minutes or more to get back to what you were doing when you get interrupted. So if you've got someone that's doing a task, let's say they're writing a sales letter or an email that's going to take them 1 hour because it's a good thought process, they got to put a lot into it, whatever. Let's say it just takes an hour normally if they sit down and work on it. And they get interrupted 4 times. And it takes them 15 minutes each time to get back into the swing and get that project done. That 1 hour project now took 2 hours. Now, if that happens every hour of every day, you're really working at 50% of capacity. And of course, the person doing the interrupting is interrupting because they need an answer. So that means they've been interrupted in what they were doing and had to go get that answer. So one of the things we look at is, when do you send emails? If it's important enough, then it needs to be written down. So if it's written down and can be done in an email, couldn't it be sent after 5 or 6? And the person can look at it either first thing in the morning as part of their routine, or they look at it at the end of their day and can take a few minutes and answer those. And it just is another way of doing it. We've got a whole section on that you can see how it works. Organizational strategies, how the structure of your business is. One of the first things I do with private clients is actually come in and look at their org chart, because I need to know, who they've got doing what functions, and if there's holes that we need to to put either new personnel in, or if somebody has been doing that, but it's really only 10% of their job, but it needs to be 40 or 50% of their job. Those kinds of structures that need to be laid out. And as you grow your company, you want to know where your people are strong, and what strengths you need to buy by hiring the right people into the organization. So you can build out the future of your company by having your future organizational chart as well. And position agreements. For each of those positions, even if someone's doing, say, 2 or 3 jobs right now because you're a small organization, each of those is a separate position agreement, and they need to know what's expected of them and how it's expected of them. And so those make it easier for both you and for your employees. It's really tough when things are ambiguous, because people have wrong expectations of what's going to come from you, or you have wrong expectations of what's going to come from them. And then it creates this friction that creates a work environment that is not optimal. And obviously what we're striving for here is optimal for everybody. Daily reports is another thing that people fall down on very quickly, because it's so easy for the person creating the daily report to stop doing it if you don't say, where was the daily report for yesterday? I didn't get it. And it takes a couple of times like that where they sent it and you didn't read it, or they sent it and you didn't get it, or they didn't send it and you didn't ask for it. And now it's, oh, well, we probably really don't have to do that because he didn't ask for it this time, or she didn't check up on me, so maybe she's not even reading these. Those are important for both of you. They want the sense of accomplishment, obviously, as an employee, and you need to know what's going on in your business every day. And if you're too busy to be looking at those daily reports, then you need someone in the organization that is looking at them and then gives you a quick overview. And that is also a daily report that maybe has to aggravate a few things. And I didn't say aggravate, did I? I meant aggregate a few things. And sometimes they are aggravating, though. So let's look at the last piece of administration here is when you're into the action plan system. And this is a system we've got that allows everyone in the organization to help improve the organization. And you'll really know that your business is taken off for you when you don't have to create action plans yourself. When your organization is creating these. And obviously you want to learn first how to do these action plans and then teach those systems into your organization. But as the leaders in your organization are creating action plans every month, then your organization is growing without you having to work on every single aspect of it. And if you're hiring the right people who are specialists in their fields, then those people know more about what's wrong in the system they're currently working in and what to do to improve it than you do anyway. Now that you're going to get that interaction and know what's happening because you're having those weekly and monthly reports and you're having the daily reports. So everything comes together, and this system then helps grow your business. Now, a commitment violation system is necessary because sometimes people just aren't up to the task. And because you've got the agreements in place, the commitment violation system just is a way to document and let them know when they're on thin ice. And most of the time, people will understand that they've created this environment where they're just not doing the job, and they're going to start looking, and you can help them step into something that's better for them. Sometimes it's within your organization. Maybe they're better at something else in your organization, and you want the loyal employees to be there. And if you treat them fairly and they understand this system, they will understand whether they're moving somewhere else in the organization where they can be an A team player, or they're just not part of your system and shouldn't be, and they're time to move on. And when you're bringing new people in, the recruiting process is so important so that they understand what they're going to be doing and how they're going to be doing it, and that you're looking for these top level players to help you. And you're not looking for someone who wants to clock in, bounce off the walls for 6 or 8 hours and go home. And that I won't go there. I've had that soapbox for a while. The video game business had a few people like that, and I won't name names. So let's get on to the selection process. That's a step-by-step process we have for you that describes how to do it. So, just know that it's an important piece of the way you recruit and hire is how you select the people. And then the very last thing is the new employee integration process. Now I'll go back to the video game business for an example of what not to do. What I did there when I got hired, and this is the, not what I did wrong, but what the company did wrong, I believe anyway, is met with my manager, met with the studio head, and got hired. And was told my first day, and I came in my first day, and neither one of them were available. Somebody in HR brought me to my desk where there was no computer and no phone, and I was told that I would probably get to see one of the people that I reported to in a couple of days because they were busy. And basically the idea was, come sit down, twiddle your thumbs for a couple of days, and I'm getting paid for this. And of course, I couldn't just do that, so I found the IT guy, and he knew who I was because as part of their process, at least he was informed, and had a computer that he could put together for me. So we got a computer, found the phone guys, and so basically was able to get the ball rolling for myself. So I wasn't twiddling my thumbs for a couple of days. But when you bring new employees in, make them feel welcome, walk them around, introduce them, make them part of the team, because they're going to be interacting with your other employees, even if their job function doesn't have them interacting a lot. If it's diverse group, where you're not all in the same building and you're working on the internet, do a chat or do a webinar and introduce them and show their picture and show the pictures of the other people so that everybody gets to know each other and understand how they're going to interact together. So it's another soapbox I'll get off of right now, and we'll move on to the next step. You're going to have finance, obviously, and a lot of us as entrepreneurs aren't good at the details of finance. We need people to help us. There's people that will help us with our income statements and getting your balance sheets and your financial ratios and everything right. And pricing is an important piece of that. You can sometimes do a split test on a price and find out that you've been charging 47, but new people will pay 97 for the same features, and you can grandfather in those people who've been paying 47 and just start with the new people paying 97. That's just how it is because they came late to the party. And things like that can really affect your bottom line. So anyway, there's stuff you need to do either yourself or have someone help you with, and you can find part-time help for that. You don't, in a small organization, you don't really need maybe a full-time person, but the bigger you get, the more you need to make sure that's done correctly. And so you can build your nest egg and take advantage of opportunities. When you're in a business that can scale and you have a way to, say, buy media, and maybe you're only spending $50 or $100 a day to start, and the next thing you know, there's a real good reason to go spend $1,000 or $2,000 or $5,000 a day. If you haven't been saving up, if you've been increasing your lifestyle to live off your everything you make, you're not going to be able to take care of opportunity like that, and you're going to end up just kind of plugging along, and you're not going to grow like you want to. And so again, this is designed to help you grow. One of those things in finance is to have a policy in place for how much you're going to have set aside as a nest egg. Obviously, you'll end up with accounts receivable if you're an affiliate, people that you've mailed for that owe you, and how to collect that. And you've got credit policies of who you're allowing to work off your credit, but also in how you build your own credit to take advantage of things. If you have a business line of credit, I was talking to a fellow the other day, he has a $100,000 line of credit, and he doesn't have a job. But he's built this credit line up over time with his business by being there and doing things. I'll mention a couple easy ones right now. Get a Target account, get a Staples account, get a FedEx account. Mail something every month on your FedEx account for 10 or 15 bucks, whatever it is. Ship it and pay it off, and get a good credit rating for your small business and grow that credit so that when the opportunities come, you can take advantage of them. Cash flow management, Same kind of thing I was talking about. Save and have a nest egg. Also watch what you're spending and how quickly it's returning. You know, a lot of people get mixed up when they've earned money. I talked to a young fellow who was actually using his college fund to go market products, and I don't know if it was ClickBank, but let's just say it was as an example because they're a good, reputable organization, and you know that you're going to get paid. But you don't get paid a week after you do it. You may get paid every week, but you have a lag time before you start seeing the money you've earned. So he had spent all of his money and was struggling to pay monthly bills while he was waiting for his profits to start coming in. And that's part of cash flow management. You've got to be aware of those things. You know, you can't go spend every dime you have to run an ad campaign if it's someone else who's going to be paying you and they're going to wait 30 to 45 days because of their refund policy. And so you don't see your money for 45 days and you've spent everything you had. Not a good situation to be in. So another soapbox, I'm telling you, be careful about that. Watch it closely. That's real business. You've got to understand where your money's coming from and where it's going to and why. Now, if you're selling your own product, you know, and you start putting money in and you're seeing it back, you'll see that money right away. But what if you don't save some and reserve it for refunds? Because people do refund. Some people go even crazy and they do chargebacks, which is another soapbox I'll save for another time when we meet in person. Ask me about chargebacks. Because you can set up a great policy and you can refund everybody that asks for it, and some people won't bother asking, but they'll do a chargeback. Anyway, you got to be prepared. You got to have that in your budget and in part of your system so you don't get caught short. All right, let's go on to marketing. Now, marketing has a lot of phases. I'm not going to go into too much detail. I'm going to give you an overview here, but obviously there's details to be dealt with in the internet marketing world and the other spaces that are part of everyday every business, really. Market segmentation. You know, where are you trying to put your marketing? You know, are you looking at different areas, or are you just trying to do one segment at a time? You got to know what you're doing there. And your market pledge, what is it you're telling the marketplace you're going to be doing for them? In ours, we're changing the global economy, and that's a big picture, but we're doing it one entrepreneur at a time. The market resolution statement, you know, how you're going to do those things, and the market fulfillment system. Now, the system you use can be internet marketing, it can be physical products, it can be shipped, you know, so there's a lot of details you can get into there. Let's talk a little more about, you know, the internet marketing side of things. You can do newsletters, you can do different communications with emails, you can do advertising. There's pay-per-click, there's banner ads, there's media buys, there's JV partners, there's all kinds of things you can do on the internet side of things. You know, how your websites are structured, what your funnel looks like, whether you're using cross-sells and bumps, whether you're doing JVs on your thank you pages. You know, there's all levels of detail in there that can really change your bottom line quite rapidly. And don't forget offline. You know, even if you're an online business, there are still good things you can do with offline, radio and TV. You know, and this is as you grow, but you can also buy spot stuff that's not expensive. I remember a few years back we did like a $250 interview ad type of thing where we had a fellow that called into the radio station. It was a talk radio. He was able to explain what he was working on. I believe it was the Forex market at the time. And he did coaching, and he actually got a couple of coaching students for $3,000 or $4,000 off a $250 radio ad. So there's things you can do at a small scale and then grow it once it starts working. Magazines and newspapers still take ads. You know, you fly at all. You look at the Sky Mall. You look at the ads that are run in those magazines. Those are fairly targeted to a certain demographic. All right, customer fulfillment. Now, everybody thinks theirs is different, but everybody's is different just like somebody else. So you can kind of break it down into, you know, being unique into each business, but service businesses are all similar. Physical product businesses are all similar. Internet marketing businesses where you're delivering digitally are all similar. So, you know, there is, like I say, digital and physical products. and then services. So those are your areas you're dealing with customer fulfillment. And you want to structure those within your manual. Your operations manual can describe each of those to a level of detail. And when I talk about an operations manual, I'm thinking of it in three different categories. If you're going to grow your business, and let's say you're in a services business, and you have 3 people that right now are providing those services, and you start to scale, when you need 9 people, you can't take those 3 and have them spend all their time trying to train the new people. So your operations manual does that for you. And yeah, you may take some time from those people, but you won't take all their time. So with every aspect of your customer fulfillment, that operations manual is going to make it easier to scale and scale more quickly than if you don't have it. So back to the operations manual is a key component. And we talked about not needing a business plan unless you're starting or presenting to investors or going to the bank or something. If you're going to expand your product line and services, you may need to do that. A lot of people do it at the beginning of a year. So if you're looking at, okay, what am I going to do next year, a business plan is a good thing for that too. You'll use pro forma data, from your financial sections to kind of flesh out that business plan. So what you're trying to do is create a high performance environment. And that means being at the top of Maslow's triangle. I don't know if you're familiar with that, so I actually brought the picture here, which is, at the bottom level, it's physiological. So it's your food, sleep, all of those kinds of things. Safety is next, love and belonging from there, esteem, self-esteem. And then you get to the top, which is self-actualization, morality, creativity, problem solving. That's where you want to be working on your business instead of in your business. Now here's the project that we put together to help you to actually go through each of these sections we've just talked about. There's leadership, and there's 9 segments there. Full description, you'll get to go in, and if you spend 30 to 45 minutes, maybe an hour each week on that, that will give you the basis for what you need to accomplish all of these things within your operations manual. The action plans are in there. You'll be able to download the PDFs. There'll be some audios, videos, resource tools. So this area is where you'll go as a member to be able to get to all of the pieces that you need to get to help you build your business. And the different aspects, I want to talk to you about how I'm going to be pricing things in 2011. And if you're seeing this before 2011, that means you're going to be in for a special treat at the end, because I am doing a special marketing test here, and I want you to be part of it. In 2011, I'm going to be set up with first business members for the entry level at $247 a month. And that will, I'll go through the detail of all that in a minute. And the medium business level will be $997 a month. The mastermind business, well, we'll be masterminding together, is $2,497 a month. And then I'll still be working exclusively with some people and giving them limited memberships, as well as my on-site clients still at $10,000 a week. And that's where I come out to the business and actually go through things on site. So anyway, those are the pricing structure of 2011, and I want to go over what's in the membership areas so you'll have an idea there. At $247 a month, you're going to get each of the 30 lessons. They're delivered one each week, so they don't overwhelm you. You can spend an hour or two and get through them and really grow your strength within your business as well as growing your business. And we'll put additional resources in the membership areas as well, different PDFs and reports, as well as all of the resources you need to complete the lessons, the operations manual, the action plans, all of those things will be included. And then I'll be talking with my friends and doing interviews with other experts. I'll be reaching out to the corporate community as well to find people that really have a key component that can help us in growing our business, and we'll be including those in that area as well. The monthly Q&A will cover the questions that are either submitted by email or live on a webinar, if you're watching this on the webinar, obviously there's an area there you can enter questions, and those are emailed as well as be able to answer some live sometimes. And so you will get an email response either way. So if it's answered on the call or answered later by email, you will get full email support. Now the next has those same things. You can see that on the far right. But in the medium business, it's $1,000 per month. And we're going to limit those to 50 right now because we're going to group those into mastermind groups. So you get all the same aspects you do in the entry, but you'll be grouping with other like-minded business owners. And we'll try to make that so that it's not the same business. In other words, in a mastermind, you want to be free to just open up about your business, and everyone is going to agree not to take things from each other's business to compete, but to help each other. And then we'll have quarterly calls that way to brainstorm with each other and help the businesses grow. And then the mastermind level is $2,500 per month, or the 2,497. I rounded up, sorry. And you get again all the same things: the lessons delivered, the weekly Q&A, and the monthly. Oh, and that instead of monthly Q&A as you do in the other level, you get a weekly Q&A because at this level we don't want you to have to wait for a monthly answer. Every week should be plenty. We'll be able to bang through things and keep you going. And then obviously there's still full email support. So if something comes up before the next call, if it's important enough, fire off an email and get an answer. So the quarterly masterminds we'll be able to do in person, and if someone for some reason physically can't make it, we'll bring them in via chat or something so they don't miss out. And then occasionally I'll be having a guest or two come to those quarterly meetings to help us with specific things. Like we may have certain questions on certain aspects of maybe pay-per-click or media buying or something that we can have a specialist come in and help us with. So that's the goal of that mastermind business, is to really take your friends and acquaintances, people within the group, and help each other as well. So, and back to the goal here, I'm changing the global economy, and of course one entrepreneur at a time means that each one of you is very important to me. And very important that as you step in to this program for yourself, you're able to take your business to the next level and give back. And I'll mention Kiva again. That's one of the reasons I'm doing this. I want to expand this pie chart. Right now it's got 5 different countries that I've put money into, and I'd like to put it into a lot more. So what I'd like to do is, of course, dedicate some of the revenue that's coming in from this to give back to these communities. And here's what I'm going to do for now, between now and January 16th. I'm going to commit to 50 new business owners, and I'm going to allow you to enroll in the system, and I'm going to come up with different levels here. And the first level is for the first 10 only, and you'll see why I can only allow 10 in just a minute. And you're going to be getting the free upgrade to the mastermind level. So for the first 10 that come and join, you'll be in the mastermind level, which is normally $2,500 per month. And you'll have full access to the whole training site for 12 months. So that's normally going to be about $30,000 that you would be investing in your business. But the first 10 are going to get just a wonderful deal. And the monthly webinar series, you'll be getting the quarterly mastermind session, you'll be getting the weekly Q&A sessions, and the full email support. And the price I had first come up with was $9.97, and as you know, the first price you see is never really going to be the price you're going to pay in one of these. So I should just leave it there just to fool with you, but no, it was something that made sense. It's a third of the normal price, and that would be a great bargain, but we toasted that one. And then in talking, $49.97 really would be, an even better deal, obviously, because it's less money. But there's a lot of expenses involved and a lot of time and effort I'm going to be putting into this, and I felt like I really should hold the line there, but I did get convinced that for right now, with such a limited test, I could go lower. And so $19.97 is going to be the price that we hold at for, let's say, normal people. Now, if you're listening to this, then I'm glad you stayed on this long and you do know that you're not just a normal business and you really can use the help and can benefit from it. So I've done something just drastic here. And what I'm going to do is even better than the $9.99 you're seeing there by $3 whole. It's going to be a $9.97 one-time payment for the first 10 only. Now, you may have thought I was going to do $9.97 a month because of everything you're getting. You're going to be in the mastermind group. But like I said, for this mastermind test, with this marketing test, I really want to see if there's 10 people out there that are ready to move now and change their business over the next 12 months. So you're going to get the upgrade to the mastermind level. You're going to get access to the full training site for 12 months, which will cover all of the 30 different systems in there with all the PDFs, all the downloads, any of the interviews we add to the system over the 12 months. You'll be getting all of those. And the monthly webinar series, the quarterly mastermind meetings, and the weekly Q&A sessions. And of course the full email support. But it's only for the first 10 that you'll be able to be an affiliate for the second 20. Now basically the way that's going to work is after the first 10 have invested and gotten into the program, I'm going to change so that we're not doing the second 20 in the same level. The second 20 will be that medium business level, which would normally be $12,000 over the year. So for a one-time $14.97, you'll be able to join if you miss that first 10. So still come and take a look, even if you don't feel like you're able to get in on the first 10, you can get in on the second 20. And if you're sent here from one of those people that came in on the first 10, they're going to make a commission of $4.97 on that. And the same thing with the last 20. Like I said, the price really will be for these first 50, $19.97, but I'm discounting in those first two layers. And the last 20 will be at the $19.97, but I am going to pay a $9.97 commission to these first group of 10 and 20 that bring people in at the last commission level. So if the price is raised by the time you see this, I'm sorry that you didn't hear it sooner, but stay in touch and we will be able to work with you on the other levels. And there should be a button below and you can click that, or if not, if you go to this particular website, you will see the welcome video there and a add to cart button that'll take you right to the page where you can confirm everything and join us, and we'll be happy to work with you.